4 teams on the field today with games ahead on Saturday, but it's coaching news that kicks us off today on NFL Total Access. With Scott Hansen, I'm Lindsay Rhodes.
Lindsay, there is only one vacancy left in coaching carousel. It's the Cleveland Browns. That's because the Panthers and the Giants pulled their triggers today. Now, you can't expect the judge to rule unless you check the rap sheet first. NFL media insider Ian Rapoport with us right now. Before you grade my pun, my play on words, Ian, let's start in New York. Joe Judge to the Giants. This is a shocker to some.
It is a shocker, and for Judge, he actually had not one but two head coaching opportunities that he could have taken. One at his alma mater of Mississippi State, which I know he was considering, and then the other was the New York Giants. He actually put off Mississippi State about a day to wait to hear from the Giants, and while so many of us were focused on Matt Rule, considering him the favorite in New York, they were digging in on Joe Judge. And one of the reasons why the Giants, from what I understand, got a phone call from Bill Belichick basically selling them that Judge is someone who was, in fact, qualified to be a head coach. He had not one job, but two jobs on Bill Belichick's staff. He's a special teams coordinator, one of the most respected positions on Belichick's staff. Then he was the receivers coach. And Scott, Belichick has met with Judge on a regular basis over the last couple of years, helping school him, helping tutor him about being a head coach. This is one Belichick spotted early, believes is ready, and the Giants believe so too.
Can't blame Big Blue for trying to tap into the Patriot way there a little bit. We'll have more on Judge coming up later on NFL Total Access. And in Carolina, Matt Rule goes from college to the pros. There are tens of millions of reasons as to why, Ian.
Many, many millions. Matt Rule signed a 7-year, $62 million deal, and he gets many millions more in possible incentive based on team goals. But listen to how this happened. So, of course, we knew that Matt Rule was supposed to interview with the New York Giants today, just like Josh McDaniels was supposed to interview with the Carolina Panthers today. None of that mattered because owner David Tepper, general manager Marty Herney, and the rest of the Carolina Panthers coaching search team, they flew down to Waco to meet with Matt Rule yesterday. They met with his wife. They stayed there. They liked it. And instead of waiting for McDaniels, just seeing maybe if Rule was still around, they decided, you know what? This is the guy we want to be our coach for the next 30 years. This is the guy that we're going to entrust millions to. This is the guy who believes in sports science and building a program, a foundation similar to what Tepper does. They decided, you know what? They're just going to hire him.
Yeah, team owner David Tepper knows how to close a deal. He proved that in the business world, making his money to buy the Carolina Panthers. All right, stand by, Ian. The carousel's moving quickly. We're going to talk about the last open job, the one in Cleveland, here in just a minute. Lindsay?
In the meantime, we've got more to say about the two hires from today. I know a lot of you are wondering who Joe Judge is. Well, as you see here, he's a longtime Patriot staffer who came to the team after a 3-year stint at Alabama and has had a lot of success as a special teams coordinator. He's listed as the wide receiver coach this year. Prior to that, though, he's been the special teams coordinator this year and the 4 years prior to that. Patriots consistently one of the best teams in football in that phase of the game, a phase that Michael Robinson knows pretty well, former special teams captain for the Seahawks, also for the Niners. Yep. D'Angelo Hall, less experienced with that particular unit. Do you like the hire?
Well, look, I don't know Coach Judge that well, you know what I mean? So to have a real sense of whether I like the hire on the guy personally, but from the standpoint of hiring a special teams coach, I understand it, and I like the hire of a special team coach because a special teams coach is really the only coach or coordinator that literally has an opportunity to talk to the entire team. Offense, defense, it does not matter. A special team coach always speaks to the entire team. So Coach Judge does have that experience standing up in front of a team and speaking to a bunch of men and commanding their respect. But again, you know, last year we spoke about during the current coaching carousel that the diversity in coaches. And again, you know, you see a lot. We're seeing coaches being hired and just not a lot of diversity in the coaching hiring process this year. I wonder what happened to Eric Bieniemy. I wonder what happened to Byron Leftwich. Some of these guys that are, you know, put up numbers offensively. How come these guys didn't get a shot? But yeah, the Patriot way coming to the New York Giants. Hopefully he can make a connection with some of the young guys in that locker room.
Yeah, and you talk about some of the young guys in that locker room. Like you, I didn't know a lot about Coach Judge. I had to Google him a little bit. We all were trying to figure out, you know, where did this guy emerge from kind of out of nowhere. But like you just heard Ian say, because Bill Belichick went and basically stood on the table for this guy, he got this job, and it's showing time and time again that Belichick connection. Coach Saban, he spent some time down there in Alabama as well. So we're getting a sense that yes, this guy is a good coach. Like M. Rob said, I would have loved to see Eric Bieniemy, especially a young quarterback, an impressionable guy. I do think the guys in that locker room, in that Giants locker room, will follow him. They would have probably followed anybody. When you have young players in crucial spots, and a guy like Saquon Barkley, he is the ultimate pro. He's such a young guy, but he seems to understand and get it. Same thing with Daniel Jones. These are going to be two young guys who are going to listen to whatever coach came in there, and that's why I felt like you had a real opportunity to hit a home run, and, we don't know if this is a home run yet or not.
What about Rule in Carolina? What's your biggest question mark with that hire?
Anytime you get a guy who's known as a college coach, it's the communication aspect. We heard that Coach Rule can go in and own a room, but it's different owning a room with kids, with teenagers who are 17 to 20 years old who, are hanging on every word you're saying versus guys that got millions, guys who are used to going to party with superstars and celebrities. And so how does he garner that respect in that locker room? How does his communication skills carry over to guys who are considered his equal, who are making the kind of money he's making? And he's
Not
making
many
a
of
lot
them
of
are,
money.
though.
Not a lot of them making that money, but it's some guys in that locker room that you have to talk to a certain way. I was with Bobby Petrino, and he was a innovative, smart guy, and had spent some time in the NFL. But when he came into our locker room, that Falcons locker room, he couldn't communicate with guys who were considered his equal. He expected to cuss you out, but you not, return the favor. Yeah. And like I said, you can do that with young guys, not so much older guys.
Did you return the favor,
Oh,
D-Hall?
Lindsay, I returned the favor so much they traded me up out of there.
Well, of course, I'm excited about Matt Rule. Obviously, a Penn State guy. I'm happy he's getting an opportunity to be a head coach in Carolina. I've been on the phone talking to a lot of guys that's been on his coaching staff while he's in college. You talk about, can he command a room? Can he stand up in front of a bunch of grown men making a lot of money and get them to follow him? From what I hear, he's a master at creating the culture where guys feel like they can talk, guys feel like they can be themselves, kind of along that Pete Carroll kind of train of thinking, empowering the leaders that are already there. I found out that he's always into getting to know every single player in his locker room, and I think that's going to bode well for him in Carolina. And
we know he can turn a program around. We saw him do that at Temple. We saw him do that at Baylor. He's got some work to do there in Carolina. All right, so the Panthers and Giants jobs are filled. That leaves the Browns job as the only vacancy. And for more on that, let's bring back Ian Rapoport. You told us yesterday that everybody wanted Josh McDaniels. Does that mean that he is now the front runner for the last remaining job? And if so, does he want the Browns?
He is going to interview for the Cleveland Browns. I know they like him a lot. I know the Haslams like him a lot. But it is worth noting that Paul DePodesta is running the process for the search for the Cleveland Browns. And they got a lot of people they are still ready to interview. Still going to talk to Jim Schwartz, the Eagles defensive coordinator. I know that seemed odd to a lot of people. He is big into analytics. He can command a room. He has been a head coach. And he will hold players accountable. That is a name to consider very much so for the Browns. They also are going to talk to Kevin Stefanski, the Vikings offensive coordinator, another one who's big into analytics, who the Browns almost hired last time. And then Josh McDaniels. I know McDaniels is a strong candidate there, but I'm not sure right now if he is the favorite over some of those other guys.
Interesting. Ian Rapoport, thank you very much. Scott?
Hey, guys, happy birthday. Lamar Jackson, the presumptive MVP, turned 23 years old today. That is younger than this year's Heisman Trophy winner. Joe Burrow's 23, but older than Lamar. Lamar spent the day today preparing for his second career Titans on Saturday. And as Aditi Kinkhabwala tells us, it might be key that this is not his first playoff rodeo.
Lamar Jackson has come a long way since that 2-for-8, 17-yard first half in the playoffs against the Chargers a year ago. Today, he's the presumptive MVP. He's playing with all sorts of confidence, but that confidence was actually sowed in that terrible playoff debut. There was serious consideration that afternoon by the Ravens to insert Joe Flacco in the game, but as head coach John Harbaugh told me afterwards, to what end? Lamar, he said, is our future. And when I talked to backup quarterback Robert Griffin today about that move, he said it was key in everything that has happened. Jackson led 2 late touchdown drives, and Griffin that night told him, "This is what you take from that game." And when I asked Jackson today, what is the big lesson from your one playoff experience, he said, attack fast. Don't wait for the game to come to you. Now, one other quick little note, Mark Ingram was not practicing early, but there's no panic here in Owings Mills. Now let's head to Tiffany Blackman, who's in Tennessee.
Thanks, Aditi. Well, how good is Lamar Jackson? Well, he's good enough to make Titans coach Mike Vrabel show his team a highlight video of Jackson in their meeting on Tuesday morning. The message behind it was play discipline.